Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and in today's video I'm going to show you all the books that I got at BookExpo and BookCon. I did get a lot of books, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. BookExpo is basically a 3-day event, but the first day there really isn't a lot going on the show floor. So I technically didn't get any books at BookExpo for day 1, but I did end up attending this event called Novelty that was hosted by Little Brown. I tagged along with everyone that I was hanging out with, and I ended up getting 2 books at the event. The first one is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. The second book is Strange the Dreamer, which I have to confess, I have not read Strange the Dreamer yet, but I will be getting a copy of it, so hopefully I pick it up sometime this summer, and that way I can immediately jump into the second book. I know a lot of people wanted this book. I didn't expect to be getting this book. This book just happened to be given out at the Novelty event because Laini Taylor was speaking at the event, so this is the first book that I got. This book was signed by Laini. Since Laini Taylor was at the event, she spoke about Strange the Dreamer, and after hearing her speak about it, I now really want to pick it up. So I definitely hope to pick it up sometime this summer, and that way I can immediately jump into the second book. The last book that I got at the Novelty event is Frostblood by Ellie Blake. Ellie Blake also spoke at the event, and they were giving out a finished hardcover of it. What I know about this book is that it follows this 17-year-old girl named Ruby. She is a fireblood, which means that she has the power to use heat and fire. Her mom is killed trying to protect her, and with the help of 2 rebel Frostbloods, who I believe have the ability to use ice magic, they attempt to overthrow their bloodthirsty king. This book is also signed by the author, and the author briefly talked about how this book was inspired by Avatar. I haven't seen Avatar. I know briefly about it, not a lot, but a lot of people seemed excited about that. So those were the first 2 books that I got on BookExpo day 1, technically not at BookExpo, but the next day, the first book that I picked up was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and this book is by Stuart Turton. This title is very similar to the title of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. A lot of people have been comparing this book with that one. I haven't read that book, but I really want to. I've heard really great things about it. So basically on the back of this book it says that Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Let's begin. It sounds so interesting. The next book that I picked up is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. This is an adult mystery thriller book, and I really want to get more into adult mystery thriller. I read a lot of YA, and a lot of the YA mystery thriller books haven't been living up to my expectations, so I've been really wanting to dive into the world of adult mystery thriller. I read those books every now and then, but not a lot. So I picked this book up, and the author was actually doing a signing, so here is her signature. This book follows Hal, who receives this mysterious letter letting her know that she has inheritance from her grandmother who recently passed away. However, her grandparents have died 20 years ago. She has a lot of bills piling up and she's running out of options, so she goes and seeks out this inheritance, and that's pretty much all I know about the book. The next book that I picked up is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. I had no idea what this book was about when I picked it up, but after hearing about it and reading the synopsis, I am definitely intrigued. It follows this girl named Cassidy Blake. I believe it's middle grade as well because the font is pretty big, but this character has drowned or almost drowned, and after this incident she's able to peel back the veil between the living and the dead. Also, her parents have this job where they are the host of a TV show that explores the world's most haunted places, and because of that they moved to Edinburgh, Scotland. I've not read a book that takes place in Scotland, but I'm really interested because the synopsis sounds really interesting. The next book that I picked up is Dry by Neil and Jared Schusterman. Neil Schusterman wrote this book with his son, so I think that's pretty cool. In this book there has been this drought that has been going on for a while now. One day water completely runs out from the tap. Families begin turning on one another for water. Alyssa's parents go hunting for water, but they never return. This is a story about survival. It sounds really interesting and I can't wait to read it. The next book that I picked up is one that I really wanted to get during BookExpo, and I got it, and that book is Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the second and final book to the Warcross duology. I forgot that it was a duology, so I can immediately jump into this book really soon and not have to wait a long time for a third book because there is no third book. The first book, Warcross, has to do with virtual reality and video games. It's a really great sci-fi book, and I can't wait to see what happens next and how the story is wrapped up. The next book that I picked up is The Dark Deep by Ali Condi and Brendan Reichs. This is a new middle grade series. On the back of this book it's blurred by Melissa De La Cruz, and she basically says, "Move over, Stranger Things." So this book seems like it's going to be really dark and suspenseful. All I know about this book is that it has to do with some sort of hidden island that 4 kids find. And I believe the last last book that I got on day 2 of Book Expo is Odd One Out by Nick Stone. This is another book that I am anticipating. There really isn't much of a synopsis on this book. It's very vague. It basically just gives a really brief overview of 3 different characters that the story is going to follow, and on the back it just says 1 story, 3 sides, no easy answers. Nick Stone is the author of Dear Martin, which I read earlier this year and I really loved it, so I can't wait to read another book written by her. I also did meet Nick Stone when I got this book, and so she signed it. Now it's time to show all the books that I got for Book Expo Day 3. The first one that I got is What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. I love Adam Silvera's books, I love Becky Albertalli's books, so having a book written by these 2 people is the dream. All I know about this book is that it takes place in New York City and it follows this character named Arthur who recently moved there. He's into Broadway, and one day he's at the post office and he meets this other character named Ben who recently broke up with his boyfriend. They have this meet cute moment and I guess the story goes from there. It sounds super cute and I'm so excited to pick this book up. I also did meet these authors, so both of them signed it. Pretty much after What If It's Us, there really wasn't any other book that I really wanted to get until it was like later in the afternoon, like 2 or 3 p.m. So I decided to just immediately get in line for A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. The signing wasn't until 1:30 p.m. but it was like 11 a.m. when the line started. This is a contemporary book that takes place post 9/11 and it follows our main character Shirin, who is facing a lot of racist, xenophobic, and cruel things in her life. The story is inspired by the author's own experiences, and I also heard that it has to do with breakdancing. This book sounds like it'll be amazing and I really hope to pick it up soon. And I did meet Tahira Mafi. She is the sweetest and she signed my book and it was really great talking to her. I also picked up Dear Evan Hansen, and it's written by 4 different authors, but it's Val Emick, Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek, and Justin Paul. This is basically the novel form of the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen. I'm excited to read this because I've listened to the cast recording and I really enjoyed the cast recording. To briefly explain what this book is about, Evan writes letters to himself, which is something that was assigned to him by his therapist. One day this other character named Connor finds one of Evan's letters. He's basically kind of a bully to Evan and he keeps Evan's letter. Eventually Connor commits suicide and Evan's letter is found in Connor's pocket, and so because of that Connor's parents thinks that Evan and Connor were really great friends when they weren't. So eventually Evan gets sucked into this really big lie that spurs out of Connor's suicide. The next book that I picked up that I probably shouldn't have picked up because I knew absolutely nothing about it, I've never even heard of it when I picked it up, and that book is The Sisters of the Winterwood, and this book is by Rena Rossner. I went into Book Expo knowing that I wanted to be pretty selective of the books that I got, and for the most part I was. This just happened to be one of the only exceptions. This book follows 2 sisters and it takes place in a remote village on the border of Ukraine. These 2 sisters discover a family secret that has been passed down generations. It also says that old fairy tales are true, so it sounds real interesting. It has to do with magic, which I really like seeing in books, so hopefully I enjoy this book. The next book that I got is Sea Fire by Natalie C. Parker, and my friend Alexandra from Trolling Pages actually gave this book to me because I think she already had a copy and didn't want another one. This book follows the captain of an all-female ship intent on taking down the vicious warlord of a powerful fleet. This book sounds amazing. I really haven't heard much about this book, but I look forward to reading it. I really like the idea that it has to do with sisterhood, and it's also compared to Wonder Woman and Mad Max. The next book that I got is Pride by E.B. Zaboy, and all I know about this book is that it's a Pride and Prejudice retelling set in Brooklyn. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Pride and Prejudice, but I read a short story written by this author which I really enjoyed, so I look forward to reading more of her work. The next book that I picked up is Blanca and Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. This book follows 2 sisters, but they're pretty much rivals and opposites. Both of them are pulled into this dangerous game that will leave one of them as they are and the other trapped in the body of a swan. But then 2 local boys are drawn into this game, which complicates things, and so on the back of the book it says Blanca and Roja is a captivating story of sisters, friendship, love, hatred, and the price we pay to protect our hearts. So I eventually stumbled into the graphic novel and comic area. While I was there was a signing going on for Sheets by Brenna Thumler, and this just sounds like a really cute story. I'm not really into graphic novels, but I really want to get into them. As I was flipping through the pages, I just love the colors that are used. I think it's beautiful. This book follows Marjorie, who is 13 years old and she feels like a ghost. But then there's this other character named Wendell who is a ghost. Both of the worlds collide and the story goes from there. The next book that I picked up is The Girl King by Mimi Yu, and this book follows two sisters. The first one is named Lu. She is the eldest and she has known that she will be named her father's heir and she will become the first female ruler, while her sister Min is supposed to leave a quiet life in Lu's shadow. But then their father surprises them and names their male cousin the next ruler, which throws their lives in utter chaos. When I picked this book up, the only thing I knew about it was that it's Asian fantasy, and now that I read the synopsis, I'm really glad that I picked it up because the story sounds really interesting. Also, the cover of this book is giving me Mistborn vibes, and I really love Mistborn, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. The last book that I got at Book Expo is The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken, which is the fourth book in the Darkest Minds series. Technically, it's a trilogy because this book is a companion novel following Zhu, who is a side character in the first three books, and the story takes place 5 years later, so I believe Zhu is now 18 years old, and it's a pretty big book, surprisingly too. I think it's a standalone as well. Zhu is one of my favorite characters in the Darkest Minds, and I really want to know more about her and read from her perspective. Also, this cover is beautiful, and with the Darkest Minds movie coming out this summer, I'm even more pumped to get into this book. So now it's time to show you the one and only book that I got at BookCon, and that is From Twinkle with Love by Sandia Menon. This book follows Twinkle, who is an aspiring filmmaker, and the story is told through letters written to Twinkle's favorite female directors. She has the opportunity to direct a movie, and while this is happening, she is receiving emails from this secret admirer. These emails are signed with the letter N, and she thinks that it's written by Neil, who is her crush. I originally wasn't planning on buying any books at BookCon, but this book was 50% off, so I got it for $10, which I think is a really good deal for a brand new, recently released hardcover book, so I bought it. And my friend Trin from Trinformers also bought this book with me. I also want to do a quick swag haul at the end of this video, so I'm going to start off with two items that I got from out of print. The first is in this thing, and it's a tote bag. So let me get that out. So at the end of BookCon, basically a lot of the booths were selling things on sale. So I ended up getting this really nice tote bag that says, "When in doubt, go to the library." And this is a quote by Hermione Granger. And this is what it looks like on the back. It's this open book with a wand. You know, I have a lot of tote bags and I really didn't need another one. But this tote bag was $10, so I couldn't resist. And also, I originally went to out of print because I had a gift card that I wanted to use that I received from a Penguin event, but unfortunately they weren't accepting the gift cards. So the guy who was at the booth gave me a deal where he said that if I bought the tote bag, I can choose a pouch for free. And this is the pouch that I chose. It's basically this like library card due date thing. But in here I stuffed a bunch of things. First thing that I'm going to pull out is this tea bag that I got. It's called Bad Girl Good Tea, and it's from the Bookish box, which is a book subscription box like Owl Crate. The next thing that I got is this purple fountain pen. The first day of BookCon, I attended this Penguin event, which is called Books and Bubbly. At the event, I got this tote bag that was full of swag, and so I'm going to quickly show you all the items that was in the tote bag. The first thing is this enamel pin, and it says Book Nerd, super cute. The next thing is this pin that says hashtag rise up and read. Then I got headphones. There were also sunglasses in here, which is really random. They're rainbow colored, and it says read proud and listen.com on the side. There you go. That's the sunglasses. I also got this portable charger. On the portable charger, it says power up, underline more, with the underlined brand on it. The next thing that I got was this hat that says books before bros. Not a fan of the quote. I would have been fine if it just said books, but it fits really nice on my head, surprisingly. I also got this really cute pin that says nevertheless we persisted. I got an Owl Crate pin that says I survived the Owl Crate line. I also got this really cute pin from LitJoy Crate, and it's this purple pin with a unicorn on it, and I think this is a really cute, well-designed pin. It has this matte texture to it as well, so that's really cool. I also got a handful of tote bags at Book Expo and BookCon. The first one was one that I got at the novelty event, and it says booked all week. I also got tote bags from the Darkest Minds series. I basically got 4 tote bags, one for each book cover, but I gave 2 of them to Trin and Kyla, and then I kept 2 of them. So the first one says The Darkest Minds with the new paperback book cover, and on the back, which is definitely a popular and favorite quote of mine from the Darkest Minds, and that is time to carp the hell out of this DM. And the second Darkest Minds tote bag was for Through the Dark, which has this cover. I want to feel every ounce of pain and happiness life can serve up because they'll mean I've survived. My friend Trin got this BookCon pop socket and she didn't want it, so she gave it to me, so thank you Trin, because I've been meaning to switch up my pop socket for a while now. Those are all the books and swag that I got at Book Expo and BookCon. I hope you enjoyed this haul. Let me know what books you're excited for. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!